Welcome, everyone. Today we are going to destroy one of the biggest lies people believe. The lie is this: freedom means doing whatever you want. No. Real freedom is doing what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. Most people chase motivation. They wait to feel inspired. They wait for energy. They wait for the right mood. And while they wait, life moves on. Disciplined people don't wait, they move. Here is the truth most people avoid. Your future is built in the moments you don't feel like trying. Anyone can work when they feel good. Anyone can start when they are excited. But very few can continue when it becomes boring, slow, uncomfortable. And that is where separation happens. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. When you wake up early to work on your goal, you are telling your brain, "My dreams matter." When you practice, even tired, you are telling yourself, "I keep my promises." Every kept promise builds identity, and identity builds power. Confidence does not come from talking. Confidence comes from evidence. Evidence is built by discipline. Discipline creates structure. Structure creates consistency. Consistency creates skill. Skill creates freedom. The irony is this: the more disciplined you are, the more freedom you gain. Financial freedom? Discipline. Strong body? Discipline. Clear communication? Discipline. English fluency? Discipline. Freedom is earned through structure. If you want to change your life, stop chasing motivation. Build a schedule. Protect your focus. Track your actions. Repeat daily. 1 year of discipline will separate you from 95% of people, not because you are more talented, but because you stayed when others stopped. Welcome back. Today, we are not talking about habits. We are talking about identity. Because habits don't stick if identity stays the same. Most people say, "I want to learn English. I want to become fit. I want to start a business." But they still see themselves as a lazy person, a shy person, a beginner. And here is the problem. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. If you believe you are bad at languages, your brain will search for proof. If you believe you are inconsistent, you will behave inconsistently. So the real transformation starts here. Stop asking, "What should I do?" Start asking, "Who do I need to become?" A person who speaks English confidently doesn't just study English. They think in English. They expose themselves daily. They speak even when imperfect. Why? Because they see themselves as someone who improves daily. Identity drives behavior. Behavior reinforces identity. It's a loop. So here is a powerful strategy. Act like the future version of yourself. Ask, what would a disciplined person do today? What would a confident speaker do in this situation? What would a professional choose right now? Then do that, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because every time you act like that person, you are voting for that identity. Small votes, daily votes, and after 30, 60, 90 days, you no longer try to be that person. You become that person. Your life does not change when you try harder. Your life changes when you think differently about who you are. Upgrade identity, and behavior will follow automatically. We live in the most distracted generation in history. Notifications every minute, short videos every second, endless scrolling, and people wonder why they cannot focus. Here is the uncomfortable truth. If you cannot focus, you cannot grow, because skill requires depth, and depth requires silence. Deep work means working on one important task with full attention, without distraction, for a long enough time to push your brain to its limit. That is rare, and because it is rare, it is valuable. When you practice English while checking your phone, you are not learning. When you study while replying to messages, you are not building skill. You are splitting your brain. Split brain equals weak progress. Focused brain equals accelerated growth. Think about this. 1 hour of true deep work is stronger than 4 hours of distracted effort. Why? Because deep focus strengthens neural connections. It creates clarity. It reduces mistakes. It builds momentum. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they never protect their focus. If you want to become dangerous in any skill, create a daily deep work ritual. Same time, same place. No phone, no noise, no switching. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will crave distraction. That is withdrawal. But after a few weeks, you will feel powerful because you will realize you can control your attention. And once you control your attention, you control your growth. Focus is the new IQ. Protect it. Many people say, "I will start when I feel confident." That day never comes, because confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes after action. Think about driving a car. The first day was scary. You were nervous, your hands were tight, you made mistakes, but you didn't wait for confidence, you drove. And after repetition, confidence appeared. Confidence is a result, not a requirement. Yet people wait. They wait to speak English. They wait to start YouTube. They wait to apply for a job. They wait until fear disappears. But fear never disappears through thinking. Fear disappears through exposure. Every time you face what scares you, your brain updates its belief. It says, "Oh, I survived." Then fear reduces. Then confidence grows. So here is a rule. Do it scared. Speak even if your voice shakes. Post even if it's not perfect. Start even if you're unsure. Because action creates evidence. Evidence creates belief. Belief creates confidence. And suddenly, the thing that once scared you becomes normal. The difference between confident people and insecure people is not talent. It is repetition in uncomfortable situations. Stop waiting. Start building. Most people live week to week. They want results fast. They want progress immediately. They want transformation in 30 days. And when they don't see it, they quit. But mastery does not operate on short timelines. It operates on compounding. Compounding means small effort, repeated consistently, becomes massive over time. Imagine improving 1% every day. That sounds small, but after 1 year, you are unrecognizable. Now imagine improving 0% for 365 days. That is stagnation. The difference between success and average is not dramatic change. It is small daily improvement. People overestimate what they can do in 1 week. They underestimate what they can do in 3 years. If you think long term, you become patient. When you become patient, you stop quitting. When you stop quitting, you automatically win, because most people stop. If you study English 45 minutes daily for 2 years, fluency is not a dream, it is inevitable. If you build YouTube consistently for 3 years, growth is inevitable. The key word is inevitable. Long-term thinkers focus on process, not emotion. They show up even when results are invisible, because they trust compounding, and compounding never disappoints those who stay. So stop asking how fast, start asking how consistent. Your future is not decided by one big action. It is decided by small actions done longer than others are willing to continue. Most people want results. Very few people want the process, and that is why most people restart their lives every January. They start, they get excited, they imagine a new version of themselves. But imagination without endurance is useless. Let me tell you something important. The problem is not that people aim high. The problem is that they expect fast, visible proof. And when proof doesn't come quickly, they interpret silence as failure. But silence is not failure. Silence is incubation. Think about a seed. When you plant it, nothing happens above the ground. Days pass, maybe weeks. If you judged only by what you see, you would say nothing is growing. But under the soil, roots are forming, strong roots. Invisible progress is still progress. And this is where long-term thinkers win. They understand that the first phase of growth is always invisible. When you start learning English, for weeks you may feel slow. You forget words, you mix grammar, you hesitate. It feels like nothing is improving, but your brain is building connections, quietly.
Every repetition strengthens neural pathways. Every mistake refines accuracy. Every listening session increases pattern recognition. You cannot see neural growth, but it is happening. Long-term thinking means trusting that invisible stage. Most people quit in the invisible stage. That is why average results are everywhere. Let's go deeper. Short-term thinking asks, how fast can I win? Long-term thinking asks, how strong can I become? Short-term thinking focuses on outcome. Long-term thinking focuses on capacity. Capacity is power. If you increase your capacity for focus, for discipline, for learning, for discomfort, your results will eventually match it. But if you chase results without building capacity, you will collapse under pressure. That is why some people succeed once and then disappear. They built attention, not foundation. Foundation takes time, and time rewards the patient. Here is a powerful mental shift. Stop measuring days, start measuring decades. Imagine who you could become in 5 years if you improved deliberately. Not perfectly, just consistently. 5 years of focused skill development is rare. 10 years of consistency is elite. Now ask yourself honestly, where will most people be in 5 years? Doing the same things, complaining about the same problems, starting over again. Because they think in weeks. If you think in years, you automatically separate yourself. Let's talk about compounding deeper. Compounding is not just financial, it is mental, it is skill-based, it is reputational. When you practice speaking every day, your vocabulary compounds. When you publish content every week, your audience compounds. When you train your body consistently, strength compounds. The first month feels small. The first year feels moderate. But year 3, year 5, that's where exponential growth appears. And here is the danger. Exponential growth always looks linear in the beginning. Flat, slow, unimpressive. That is why most people never reach it. They quit before the curve rises. Imagine 2 people starting at 0. Person A works hard for 3 months, then stops. Person B works moderately but consistently for 3 years. Who wins? Time chooses the second person. Time is the most powerful multiplier, but only for those who stay. Let me give you another truth. Long-term thinking reduces emotional chaos. When you think short-term, every bad day feels like disaster. Every mistake feels huge. Every slow week feels like failure. But when you think long-term, one bad day is irrelevant. One slow month is noise. Because you are not playing a 30-day game. You are playing a multi-year game. And in a long game, consistency beats intensity. You don't need extreme motivation. You need sustainable rhythm. Rhythm creates stability.
Stability creates durability. Durability creates mastery. Now, let's address something important. Patience does not mean passive. Long-term thinking is not waiting, it is acting with endurance. You still show up daily, you still improve systems, you still measure progress, but you detach from urgency. Urgency creates pressure, pressure creates burnout, burnout creates quitting. Long-term clarity removes panic. You understand that greatness is slow, and because you accept that, you become dangerous. Here is something powerful. When you commit long-term, your identity shifts. You stop asking, will this work? You start saying, I will make this work. There is a difference. One is doubt, one is decision. Decision eliminates exit plans, and when there is no exit, focus increases. Let's talk about delayed gratification. The ability to sacrifice comfort now for strength later is rare. Most people trade long-term success for short-term pleasure, scrolling instead of studying, sleeping instead of training, complaining instead of building. Every small decision is a vote. Long-term thinkers vote for their future, even when it is boring, even when nobody claps, even when results are invisible, because they understand something powerful. Future self is built by present discipline. You will either suffer the pain of effort or the pain of regret. Both hurt, but only one pays. And here is the final shift. Stop asking, when will I succeed? Start asking, who will I become if I never quit? Because if you truly never quit, success becomes mathematical. It becomes predictable. It becomes inevitable. Not because you are special, but because you stayed in the game longer than others were willing to endure. So zoom out. Look at your life from 10,000 feet. 10 years from now, will today's excuses matter, or will today's discipline matter? Think long, act daily, detach emotionally, commit fully. Small steps, long horizon. That is how everything changes. Not overnight, but permanently. And permanent change is the only change that truly matters. Let's go even further. Long-term thinking also changes how you see failure. Most people see failure as a verdict. Long-term thinkers see failure as data. Data is useful. Data teaches. If you think in weeks, failure feels personal. If you think in years, failure feels instructional. You tried something, it didn't work. Good, now you adjust. That adjustment, repeated over years, creates precision. Precision creates mastery. Think about professionals. A master speaker didn't become powerful in 30 days. They spoke badly, they were nervous, they forgot lines. But they didn't stop. They refined. And refinement requires time. Time plus correction equals excellence. Now understand something critical. Long-term thinking increases emotional stability. When you accept that growth is slow, you stop reacting to every small result. You become steady, and steadiness is strength. Most people are emotionally reactive. One bad comment, they doubt themselves. One slow month, they question everything. One comparison, they feel behind. But long-term thinkers don't compare beginnings to someone else's middle. They compare themselves to their past self. That is the only comparison that matters. Ask yourself, am I better than last month? Am I more disciplined than last year? If yes, you are winning, even if nobody sees it, especially if nobody sees it, because private growth is the strongest growth. Let's talk about environment. Long-term thinking also forces you to upgrade your environment. If you plan for 5 years, you cannot stay around short-term minds, because short-term minds create noise. They chase trends, they quit fast, they complain often. Long-term builders move differently. They don't chase hype, they build systems. They don't look busy, They look consistent. And here is something powerful. When you commit long-term, opportunities start appearing. Why? Because consistency builds reputation. Reputation builds trust. Trust builds access. Most people want opportunities without consistency, but the world rewards reliability. If you show up every day for 2 years, people notice. If you improve quietly for 3 years, people notice. Not immediately, but eventually. And eventually is enough. Let's go deeper into identity. Long-term thinking transforms how you see time itself. You stop saying, "I'm running out of time." You start saying, "I'm building over time." Pressure disappears. Focus increases. You stop trying to impress. You start trying to improve. Improvement compounds. Impression fades. And here is the hidden benefit. When you commit long-term, you remove the option of quitting. Quitting becomes irrational because you understand that stopping resets the compounding effect.
Every time you quit, you return to zero. Every time you continue, you multiply. Which one sounds smarter? Now imagine this clearly. If you dedicate the next 3 years to mastering communication, reading, speaking, practicing, recording yourself, improving daily, do you really think you will still be average? No. Average belongs to the inconsistent. Excellence belongs to the persistent. Time does not reward talent. Time rewards repetition. Time rewards patience. Time rewards those who endure boredom. And boredom is important because boredom means you are past excitement and inside discipline. Excitement starts things. Discipline sustains things. Long-term thinkers fall in love with boring excellence. They understand that boring habits create extraordinary lives. Wake up, practice, improve, repeat. No drama, no chaos, no emotional roller coaster. Just steady execution. And steady execution over years is unstoppable. Let me tell you something powerful. The reason most people don't think long-term is because long-term commitment is scary. It removes excuses. If you say, "I will try for 30 days," you have an escape. If you say, "I will build this for 5 years," now you must become serious. Serious people move differently. They plan better. They waste less time. They choose carefully. Because 5-year decisions cannot be impulsive. So here is a challenge. Choose one skill, one direction, and mentally commit for years, not weeks, not obsessively, not aggressively, calmly, confidently, like someone who knows they are building something real. Then detach from daily emotion. Some days you will feel motivated. Some days you will feel tired. Irrelevant. The plan stays, the schedule stays, the mission stays. And over time, you won't just improve your skill, you will improve your character. Because long-term commitment builds discipline. Discipline builds confidence. Confidence builds leadership. You become someone others trust, not because you talk big, but because you stayed consistent. And in a world addicted to shortcuts, the person who thinks long-term is already ahead. So zoom out again. 5 years from now, what story do you want to tell? I tried many things, or I built one thing. Trying is common, building is rare, and rare effort creates rare results. Think long, act daily, ignore noise, trust compounding, and remember this: the future does not belong to the fastest starter. It belongs to the one who refuses to stop. There is another layer to long-term thinking. It changes how you handle boredom. Most people are addicted to novelty, new goals, new plans, new strategies, new excitement. But every time you chase something new, you reset your progress. You go back to beginner. Beginner energy feels exciting, but beginner results are small. Long-term thinkers understand something powerful. Depth beats novelty. Instead of starting 10 things, they deepen one thing. They ask, how can I improve this by 1% today? Not, what new thing should I try? Because new things stimulate, but depth transforms. Now, let's talk about mastery. Mastery is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is built in private rooms, early mornings, late nights, unseen repetitions. You rarely see the hours, you only see the result. And when you only see the result, you think it was fast. It wasn't fast, it was hidden. That is why long-term thinking requires humility. You must be willing to look average while you are becoming excellent. You must accept that for a long time, nobody will clap. No recognition, no applause, no validation, just work. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop needing applause, you accelerate, because now you are working for growth, not attention. Attention is temporary. Skill is permanent. Which one are you building? Let's go even deeper. Long-term thinking also improves decision-making. When you think short-term, you choose what feels good now. When you think long-term, you choose what strengthens you later. Every decision becomes filtered through one question. Will this help or hurt me in 5 years? That single question eliminates distractions. Late-night scrolling? Hurt. Daily reading? Help. Comfort zone? Hurt. Skill practice? Help. Suddenly, life becomes simpler, not easier, simpler, because clarity removes internal conflict. Now understand this. Time exposes everything. If you are inconsistent, time reveals it. If you are disciplined, time magnifies it. Time is neutral. It multiplies what you repeat. If you repeat distraction, you multiply weakness. If you repeat discipline, you multiply strength.
So the real question is not, do I have enough time? The real question is, what am I repeating daily? Because what you repeat is what you become. Let's imagine 2 futures. In one future, you stay comfortable. You consume more than you create. You plan more than you execute. You talk more than you build. 5 years pass. You are slightly older, slightly more tired, but not transformed. In another future, you commit. You practice daily. You refine weekly. You review monthly. You improve yearly. 5 years pass. You are unrecognizable, stronger mind, stronger skills, stronger presence. Both futures require time, but only one requires intention. Time will pass anyway. The difference is direction. Direction plus time equals destiny. And here is the final truth most people avoid. Long-term thinking demands responsibility. You cannot blame circumstances for years. You cannot blame luck for years. If you commit for 5 years and stay disciplined, your results will reflect your effort. And that level of responsibility is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it also gives power. Power to build, power to improve, power to reinvent. So instead of asking, how can I succeed fast, ask, how can I stay committed long enough? Because staying committed is the rarest skill in the modern world. Anyone can start, few can endure. Anyone can feel motivated, few can remain steady. Anyone can dream, few can execute for years. Be part of the few. Zoom out, think in decades, act in days, measure in years, adjust monthly, improve daily, and protect your focus relentlessly. Because when you combine long-term vision with daily discipline, you become unstoppable. Not overnight, but inevitably. and inevitable success is stronger than fast success. Fast success can disappear. Inevitable success is built to last. So take a breath, look at your life, choose your direction, commit quietly, work steadily, ignore noise, trust time. And remember this: the person who wins in the end is not the most talented, not the most connected, not the most lucky. It is the one who refused to stop building.